She said she's recording. So, try one more time to double check on that. We are recording. I'm told I have an annotation tool. Look at that, Rye. You see that orange thing?
Look at that, yeah.
Pretty cool. Let's maybe change that color. It's recording day. We got to go red, I think. Blood red. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, that's a little better.
And I'm not quite sure how to erase that now. I might have just done myself in here. There we go. I can dump it. So for now, I'll take control. You're seeing my screen just fine, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's actually going to let me take control of the video or anything at any point. It doesn't seem to want to let me do it.
So I'm not sure if that's backwards or not. There you go. So Dirk Knudsen, editor, NorthwestPrepReport.com, down here in Hillsboro, Oregon, the home of the Hillsboro Spartans, the Glencoe Crimson Tide, the Liberty Falcons, Century Jaguars. Who am I forgetting? Anyway, great town for football. And then we're just outside of Portland. So those of you that know my work, I'm at NorthwestPrepReport.com and at NW Prep Report on Twitter. Ryland Spencer joining me from Northwest Elite Index. Ryland, give them your credentials real quick. Make sure your volume's turned up too a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, NorthwestEliteIndex.com. You can follow me online at Ryland, NEI. I'm up here just outside Seattle. Currently, I'm in Renton, but I'm really more based out of Kirkland. I'm actually about halfway between Juanita and Lake Washington High School, so right in the heart of Kingco, some of the best football around in the state and really in the Northwest. So
I'm not even joking. I got your website up now. We looking good there with the Deshaun Fox story?
Yeah, Deshaun Fox, I'll tell you what, that's a guy that he's a lot of fun to watch coach. He's really dynamic, and that guy is he's one of those future coaches that everybody's going to want to know because he just does some really good things there, Deshaun does.
So are we seeing your screen okay for Northwest Elite Index?
Yeah, there's a kid right there, Trey Jeevers from Issaquah High School, still looking for a home himself, but he's got an offer from Montana State Northern, and he's looking at a couple other schools. He's a high academic kid, and he's a good wide receiver, though, that's for sure.
Okay, so we're going to be bringing up a few things tonight. Regardless of whether you're with us live tonight, I see a bunch of you, a few of you starting to shuttle in here and kind of watch the show. We posted a phone number if you want to call in. We should get a notice that you're here, and if you're here, please announce yourself. But let's just talk about what we're going to accomplish tonight. We're going to be going through a few things tonight, which will vary from our website here at Northwest Prep Report. I give my logo up. There we go. So I'm bringing up the prospect signing day tracker that we kind of jointly developed this week. And that thing has continued to kind of fill itself out. And I do have a spreadsheet so I can go in here. We've had a bunch of new additions. So if they're in blue, those are guys that we had vetted and kind of gone through. You can see as of right now, with Trey Dorfner here from River Ridge being the last athlete listed from Wyoming, if you want to get on the list, just go to Northwest Prep Report. The lead article will show you exactly what we're doing. You can get added. This list will actually stay into perpetuity. And I have the ability to sort this list tonight, Ryland. So what I've done is I've sorted it here, presuming, let's see if my little annotator wants to work. There, does that look okay? I don't know if you can see it. Did it highlight that? Or is it just?
No, it's not giving a circle there.
Okay, but you can see it. Well, nonetheless, you see it kind of flashing there?
Yep, I can see where your circle doesn't want to leave a circle.
Okay, so let's do this here. These were not by any specific order, but let's take a few guys here and talk about them for a few minutes, and then we'll jump and talk about Washington a little bit. So what I've done here is we've got the Oregon boys listed down through the middle of this sheet. As you scroll down, you can come find the guys from Washington, and there's a bunch of them. And these were starting out with D1 and D1 AA offers. And then I've got them sorted by a little bit by school rank as well. So you can also see where they're going to school over here on the right. These are guys that confirmed their signing today. We could have a couple of errors in this because this took a lot of time to put together. Have some additions as well. But Ryland, let's start off by talking about Oregon here a little bit, and then I'd like your comments if you've seen any of these guys. And I want to give credit. Let me see if I can turn that little trailing guy off there. Hold on just 1 minute. Still learning this tech, as you can tell. Whoops. Okay, we're paused for a second. Hang on. And are we back? Screen's back?
Yeah, we are back.
Okay. Believe me, we'll have this thing dialed before anyone knows about it. Okay, there we go. Annotation. Here, I think I got rid of it. Okay. Let's leave the annotator off for right now. So let's talk about Colby Barker. Ryland, Colby Barker, do you happen to remember seeing him at one of our off-season showcases this last season?
Yeah, I remember seeing him out there. You know, that's a kid. He's a big, strong, physical player. I think he's probably made a really wise choice with Air Force. I think their style of play fits him really well for kind of the mean, nasty attitude that he plays with, and he's gonna be fun to watch out there. That's the guy that you know, come time for the Commander-in-Chief trophy, he's the type of guy that'll be raising it there at the end of the year.
Yeah, Barker. I think it was Northwest Star. Yeah, it was. It was Northwest Stars camp that we had Barker come to, and we're going to talk about Northwest Stars a fair amount tonight, you guys, because those of you that watch this in the coming few days is that this gentleman right here, Colby Barker, that we're talking about. There's my annotator. So 6'4", 235, 225, shows up to an off-season camp, a total unknown after his junior year. Both Ryland, Spencer, myself, Brandon Huffman, people like that put eyes on a kid who is a junior coming into a camp aimed at seniors who didn't sign, who are very good players, does very well. Came very close to going to some other Mountain West schools before pulling the trigger and going to Air Force. There were a few Air Force commits tonight, but his name happened to come across the sheet first, so I'm going to give some love there. Definitely a Pac-12 caliber defensive end. Colby Barker, congratulations. And I think, Ryland, the best thing to do is just kind of fly through these, and then I want to give credit to a lot of these guys, so we're going to cover a lot of names here in the next hour. Jared Dahl, so one of the two Dahl brothers, ends up at Brown University. Another guy that really, both of them, the twins, came to our off-season camps, did everything they needed to do during the season, and still didn't quite break through the Pac-12. So they had Mountain West interest. They had some things in terms of full rides that they had to Portland State and the other Big Skies. He's going to Brown. He's going to be a game changer up there in the Ivy League. Another 6'4", 255-pound guard, offensive guard, D-end, tremendous player. Did you have a chance to see the Dahl brothers play?
Yeah, actually, we saw them at both the Northwest Stars camp and the Rough Diamonds last year. Those two guys, you know, they put in a lot of work in the off season, and you can see it because they both had, you know, a real very good senior season, and you know, they had some preferred walk-on stuff. I know they both picked up preferred walk-ons from Washington State, but at the end of the day, you know, they kind of made it clear from the start that they were guys that wanted to be, you know, really heavy academic, and
yep.
I think they're both making a couple of good choices. One at Brown, the other one University of San Diego. So two great academic institutions and a couple of real good football players.
So, yeah, and I think they did the right thing. Football doesn't last forever. You and I preach that. We preach getting what you can out of the game, stay with the game, whether you're a coach, whether you want to go into scouting, whether you want to be a writer or make no money being an analyst like Ryland and I do. We all love the game, right? So I see these two guys being, you know, these are world changer type guys. And I hope all you guys out there tonight go very, very far in life and use football for what you can get out of it. And I don't really want to stay on this because we're going to get some film, but after Jared Dahl, we go into Jake Meisen, wide receiver state champion at Westland. They run the table, 15-0. Unbelievable get for Central Washington. Right next to him, Jason Rucker. Right below him, I mean, goodness sakes, how much more could Jason Rucker have done to get recruited? Ryland, you and I both felt he was a Big Sky guy. It just didn't happen for him. Do you have any idea why it didn't happen, or do you think he was just destined to play for Coach Shoemaker up at Central Washington?
You know, I'm not really sure why it didn't happen for Jason Rucker. I mean, he was all over the place. He hit the camp circuit really hard, and you know, he's a dynamic athlete. He's really instinctive, makes a lot of plays because he's just a real smart football player, and he kind of sees things before they happen. But end of the day, I mean, Central Washington has gotten quite a few steals over the last couple of years, and I would put Jason Rucker probably in that mold.
Yeah, unbelievable talent. Big, fast. I mean, he's as good of a player as we've seen. I'm going to switch the screen here for a second. I don't want people falling asleep on the list. Keontae McMurrin, I had a chance to work with. A little bit undersized wide receiver out of Sean Stanley's program at West Salem, goes to College of Idaho. College of Idaho, Ryland, real quickly, what do you know about them? I mean, they are making some noise here the last couple of years recruiting-wise.
You know, they've only actually had a football program again for a couple of seasons, but, you know, they've done a real good job the last few years. They picked up quite a few kids from this area. We've seen them out at the Northwest Stars camp before, and that's a decent little drive for those guys. It's not right down the street coming all the way out here. And, you know, it's always tough to go into the Frontier Conference and you know, make a real big push when you've got the Carroll colleges, the Southern Oregons, even Eastern Oregon, and, you know, Montana Tech, Montana State Northern is a program that's on the rise out there, Rocky Mountain. I mean, that's a really tough conference to come into, but I think they've done a really good job. That coaching staff works hard, and, you know, they've done some real nice things the last couple of recruiting classes.
Right. Jumping to Dylan Holiday, Sandy, had a chance to get to know Dylan just a little bit, but look, here's Eastern Oregon University, and I want all you guys who haven't signed yet to please take the time to get to know Eastern Oregon University. This is the team that went as far or farther than anybody. This was this year's Southern Oregon University. They had a championship-type run out there in La Grande, Oregon. Guys, there's football being played all over. Dylan going out to play for Coach Tim Camp out there in Eastern Oregon. And, guys, they play a great brand of football, NAIA. It's awesome. Congratulations to Dylan. Ethan Gallant had a brother played at Central Catholic before him. Great family, great player. He's going to make it to, well, he shows Eastern Washington here. I think that's right. And Big Mitch Johnson from West Lynn. I don't know what more Mitch could have done as a linebacker. He's going to go to Eastern Washington, tear it up, 6'3", 220. Great players both out of the Portland market. And then Isaiah Mullen, one of the several players, Ryland, that Don Johnson brought to the fray here this year. And let's just see if we get a little taste of Isaiah Mullen, whether they've got some highlight film here. Isaiah Mullen's a wide receiver. Saw him today, interviewed him today. If he's just a tad over 6'3", long arms, fast. He had offers Big Sky, and he's going to make the trip over to Hawaii to play for Coach Rolovich. And thank you for Hawaii for doing such a great job recruiting kids out of the Pacific Northwest this year. They got a handful of guys. I hope next year they get even more. It's funny, Ryland, not funny, but look at this guy move. One of 10 athletes signing from inner city Madison High School in Portland, Oregon, who almost canceled football 2 seasons ago. Unbelievable story, Ryland.
Yeah, Don Johnson does a real good job out there pubbing his guys and getting them, you know, getting them looks. Like you said, that's a school that almost got rid of football, and now here they are just putting one guy after another at the college level. Yep.
Mason Elliott, we've also worked with Mason, another long arm, fast, 6'4", tall, Westview High School. Mason's going to make his way, I'm going to pause this for a minute. Mason's going to make his way from Westview High and Portland's west side to Idaho. I think he could be an impact player. You have a chance to see Mason a little bit, didn't you, Rye?
Yeah, he's another one. Westview High School, they're just doing some real good things right now, you know, with Rucker, and they had, his name escapes me, but they had that receiver last year also. You know, they've done some really good things the last couple of years, and that's a program that was always kind of a sleeping giant in a way, and looks like they finally got things rolling.
Yes, they did. And Brandon Peely, perhaps the biggest recruiting story of the year, moves down from Alaska, plays there, goes to USC, out of Westview High School. Congratulations to Brandon. He's on this list. Warrior Noel, also met him today. Tremendous athlete that Coach Don had over there. He's headed to Idaho along with Elliott. Boy, what a pair of athlete wide receivers they're going to have there. The big story of today in Oregon, one of the big stories was Daniel Green here, 6'3", 240. He commits to Kansas State after deciding USC wasn't the right place for him. We talked to Daniel Green a little bit about, he was down to Ole Miss, and he is Daniel X Green, only one deuce on Twitter. Here he is here. Here's him signing his letter today. Look at that guy go. Great player. Coach feels he's got a potential NFL future in the making. A little bit of goodies here on Daniel. It was a big day for him. What he told me was Ole Miss, Kansas State, and Utah, and Coach Snyder ended up getting his commitment, and he told me what he's looking for is to have a family atmosphere like a Friday night experience. He looked for it at USC, didn't find it. He looked for it elsewhere, didn't find it. And boy, at Kansas State, he feels like 77-year-old Coach Bill Snyder, who's a legend, is going to give him the home that he wants. We've had a couple players out of the Northwest go there. One of the Masters boys played there, had worked with Taylor Barton during his high school career out of Southridge High School. He played in the NFL. And you can see this 6'3", 240-pound jackhammer with a 6'7" wingspan is going to be a nightmare. Ryland, have you ever had a chance to watch Daniel or play with him or work with him?
Yeah, we saw him on the 7-on-7 circuit a little bit, and I mean, he's definitely a well put together kid, and a guy with his athleticism. I mean, I never like to put the NFL label on somebody, but when you just look at him right there, he's the type of kid that kind of screams it. As long as he keeps that work ethic up at Kansas State, he'll do just fine.
Got a couple of Linfield commits in Carson Milla and Sam Farr, and Demetrius Douglas was a standout corner at Powerhouse Jesuit High School. He turned his back on the Oregon Ducks and decides to go play for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. I got to say, I don't think I've seen this before. There's according to Demetrius, a little bit of a family connection there, and I say hats off to him because if he goes there and does what we think he's capable of at Minnesota, I hope the Golden Gophers come back to the Northwest to try to mine some talent in years to come. They've been out here a little bit in the past, but this is a pretty big get for them. We'll run through a few more guys. Kyle Rigg, who was a big-time D-tackle, D-end at Sheldon, one of our premier schools out of Eugene. He's at Montana State, and good on him. He'll be, I think, a very good player there. Kobe McCallum, Salem Academy, going to go play for Montana State Northern. Alex Forsythe, top 3 recruit in Oregon, is going to go to Oregon out of Westland High School. And then this morning, Cody Shear, hard commit to Arizona, gets the morning phone call, 7:32. Somebody called him or got a hold of him from Oregon, says, we want you to stay home and play in Eugene where you were born and raised. Off went the Arizona hat, on came the Oregon hat. Cody Shear was kind of the big flip of the day. Talked to him about it. There's no way he couldn't do it. And congratulations to him. And thanks to Oregon for recruiting him, because as of that offer, they'd only had one in-state commit, and we sure want the Ducks to be reaping the harvest. David Morris, you've probably had a chance to see a little bit, haven't you, Ryland?
Yeah, I like David Morris a lot. I actually think Oregon State, no disrespect to the Beavers, but I think David Morris is a kid that was under-recruited. I think athletically he's better than what Oregon State is right now for sure. But that's a kid that I know you had tweeted out earlier today also about how dynamic he can be, and that Beaver fans should be excited, and I completely agree.
Yeah, he's one of those guys when people say to me, well, who do you think the sleeper will be in this year's class? Who maybe is or isn't going to go big? And so this guy right here, David Morris, will go on to prove to be one of the great recruits of this year. I don't think there's any doubt about it. His size, his growing into that big 6'4" frame that he has. I get a little perturbed when I hear all the hype about the out-of-state, out-of-Northwest guys who seem to be the guys that the local media wants to claim will change the future of a program. I see that actually with Morris. I think he may be the premier recruit they got. And hey, they had a good day, as did Oregon and the Huskies and the Cougars. So love David Morris. He'll play outside linebacker. He can also play other positions on the field, but he's a ball hawk. He's a hitter. He's smart. One of 4 athletes getting recruited. He joins his teammate Josh Bocut, who's not under-recruited, but under-recognized big man, and kind of a work in progress. But Josh Bocut, big offensive and defensive lineman, will go to Oregon State from Sherwood. Great job by Coach Lawrence out there at Sherwood. Again, the powerhouse school in Portland's south suburb. Oregon State also landing Travis McKay, Central Catholic, absolute behemoth lineman in a 280-pound body that looks like it's got room for another 30 or 40 pounds. After Josh Ryland, we get into the Portland State landslide. Them in Eastern Washington absolutely killing it today. and I'm just going to cover the Oregon recruits, but just to name them off, Anthony Adams out of Newburgh. My goodness, two-way absolute stud. Bishop Mitchell. Nobody knows this guy. They're going to know this guy. 5'9", 185, ran for 2,400 yards out of small Kennedy High School out of Mount Angel, Oregon, but maybe the most prototypical running back I've seen this year. Good for him in Portland State. Jake Porter, another Westland defensive lineman. Jerry Reed out of Central Catholic, worked with him in youth ball. Gerald Reed's son. Excellent recruit. Jaron Appling from Grants Pass, a DB, absolute physical freak. Got a late offer and added himself. Luke Wilson, we'll talk about in a minute, is not at Portland State, so I have to cross this out because Luke Wilson, who played 6 games of high school football, Luke Wilson received an offer from Hawaii after Portland State, and we're going to take a look at Luke Wilson for a second. I'm going to take a segue here, Ryland. I talked to you about him, yes?
Yeah, Dirk, I've got somebody standing behind me. Can you see my video?
Hold on a second. Who is it? Yeah, I see that guy. Taylor Barton in the house. What's up, Taylor?
I got a call. Ryland sent me a text and said we needed to up the sex appeal to get more female viewership. So I decided to come in and help you guys with some ratings.
We're watching 6'5", 235-pound Luke Wilson from Churchill High School in Eugene, Oregon. Throw down for him is not a very good dunk. It's something to watch this guy. The reason we're bringing him up is he absolutely came out of nowhere. He got a Portland State offer. We covered that a little bit. He got an Oregon State offer, a Hawaii offer from Coach Rolovich after Coach saw this dunk. I don't know if you saw that, Ryland. You watch this again here. So think about this, 6'5", 230. He played wide receiver, and we think he's a 4'4", 4'5" speed. That's pretty nice, right? 35, 38-inch vertical. He's 230 in that frame. He played wide receiver. Watched his film. What happened this morning was Oregon apparently got a hold of him, said, "You're not leaving. We're keeping you home." We don't know if he's going to go to Oregon or if they're going to work out a scholarship package, but at this point, his coach said the phones have rang in the last 48 hours to the point they could no longer decide what to do, so he didn't commit. He's going to be a free agent going forward, and he will either play basketball or he will go on to play Division I, probably Pac-12 football. So one of the great, played 6 games of high school football, a lot along the lines of Julius Thomas type of a story where a basketball player became a football player. Pretty cool.
Yeah, no, Dirk, if you just watch his basketball stuff, I mean, you can see the athleticism, and I mean, you can teach a guy to catch a football and to run a route, but you can't teach that type of athleticism.
No. And I think that was smart what they did today. Granted, he took a chance, right? He potentially walked away from a fully paid 4-year scholarship, assuming he kept his grades up. By all rights, he's a good student. We won't watch much of his film, but when I was probably one of the first guys that was tipped off to him about him by his coach, A.J. Robinson out of Churchill. I want to give major props to any coach in high school that's willing to pick up their phone and do what's right by their guys. It's not something very many coaches are good at or are comfortable doing, and certainly, maybe they don't have to do it, but in this case, his coach did it because he realized. I hate huddle ads. He realized what he had here in this guy. So let's take a moment to watch 6'5", 230-pound wide receiver. Well, that was nothing spectacular. He overran the route. But think about a guy that didn't play any high school ball and gets talked into coming out and playing a little football. And having no technique and no coaching. Great story. I don't know if I've seen a story like this that's gone quite this big this late in the game for somebody. And you see that speed, Ryland. What would you put that at? Maybe 4 or 5?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely. It's always hard to tell really on film, but I'll tell you what, he is moving.
Look at his stride length. It's amazing. Yeah, and he does. Of course, he's going to outmuscle guys at this point, but he's very reminiscent of a Brennan Scarlett type of a body, 6'4", 6'5". He could easily be 250 or 60. So he's probably a a backer or a D end, and maybe an H-back tight end. You know, we're going to have to see. And maybe he's one of those guys that decides basketball is better for his future. One-handed grab there. Very nice job. Congratulations to Luke Wilson for one of the great late recruiting stories of the last few seasons that we've seen. Back on the list. I'll go through the rest of these pretty quick. I want to give a shout out here because is Taylor still there?
No, he had to run.
Okay. So then we get into Nick Osam, Matayo Talalimoto, both going to Portland State. Zach Deal, the quarterback, stand-in safety, big-time safety, ends up at Portland State on a scholarship. Zarek Boogie Davis from Westview, the Scappoose High School transfer, ends up at Portland State. And so the Vikings with, I counted 9 9 Oregon guys. They got some Washington guys too. Sort of rounding out the Oregon kids that took offers down today, at least those that we were tracking. Connor Maloney from Westland going to Southern Oregon. Carson Crawford, my 6A player of the year from Taylor Barton's home school, Beaverton High School. Headed to UC Davis. One of the outstanding quarterbacks, a guy that played 1 year quarterback, blew up all the record books, probably will be a slot at UC Davis. And he joined Sherwood's Luka Nixon. Luka, a guy a lot of us analysts love, 6'7", 270, 265, basketball player, tight end, defensive lineman. I still think he's a Caleb McGarry transfer into an offensive tackle, probably a guy that has a chance to go a long, long ways. Rounding out the Oregon squad is Trey Adams, who finally got an offer from University of Northern Colorado, and he locked down. Tracy Ford did a lot to help that kid. Tremendous DB. RJ Nelson, the big guy who came to both the RDAF showcase and the Northwest Stars camp last year. Last year, Ryland, RJ Nelson came into the Northwest Stars camp as an unknown, and he left as a 6'4", 230-pound prospect with offers. Ends up at Montana out of Hillsborough High School. Tremendous story. The other Dahl brother, Joel Dahl, will play at University of San Diego, breaking up the bookends. Identical twin. They're more or less identical twins. But they got to move on in life. Both will move on to play college football. Brandon Peely, we talked about from Westview, the Alaska transplant going to USC, and Marlon Tuipulotu, the All-American out of 5A Central High School in Independence, Oregon, down in the Salem, Monmouth area. Marlon, U.S. Army All-American, decides UW wasn't the right fit, had some connections at USC, made the switch there a few days ago, took a lot of heat for that, which was unwarranted. Any kid should go wherever they want. In my opinion, and the guy right below him, Elijah Molden, perhaps he and Marlon are top 2 candidates, along with Jackson Kirkland. Jackson Kirkland switching from UCLA, from Jesuit High School, over to Washington. That was a big get for Washington. Kirkland, another guy that came to our showcases 2 years ago with his 6'6" mega frame and got his name out. And then Molden, maybe the best 2A player we've had in years. Out of Oregon, ends up at Washington, even though his father played at Oregon. How much does that say about a kid when he's willing to basically do what is best for him or what he views as best for him, Ryland?
Yeah, that's something that I always make a point to people, especially with the more high-profile kids, is you have to visit a place and you have to find the place that fits you and makes you feel comfortable, and you can't just commit to that coaching staff. It's got to be to that school. It's got to be to the whole idea of living in an environment that, you're going to be there. So for these kids, especially like an Elijah Molden, who everybody just assumed he was going to be an Oregon kid. Some talk of Stanford because he's an academic, he likes his academics. But at the end of the day, it was such a great snag by Coach Peterson and the Husky staff up here. They have a lot to offer right now, but that's a kid that I think he's making a great choice. He's the type of guy that could come in early and play. He might not play his first year, but that's a kid that could be on the field really quickly.
Yeah, we finally got a chance to see him healthy, and he has been bothered by nagging injuries. Nothing terrible, nothing bad, just stuff that happened. And in the state championship game, and as they made their run to that 15-0 finish this year, as I take a look at Ben Moose here, who's one of the guys that I didn't know where he was going, now I do, and we'll let Ryland talk about the Washington kids here. But I would say this, Molden made a decision that was best for him. As Ryland said, you've got to do that, guys, because too many times, Ryland, myself, people like us who get to know you guys and know these guys when they're younger, we hear the back channel stuff and we hear that unhappiness that happens when the fit isn't right. I don't care if they got better equipment or better gear or, you know, prettier girls or whatever. It's got to be about the fit. I think Molden, sort of a Buda Baker type of player. He can play both sides of the football. I think he's a defensive player for the Huskies, but he'll be an impact guy. And at the end of the year, he was imposing his will whenever he wanted on the football field, like a lot of our top guys were. So, Ryland, let's see. I think we're done with Oregon. And you know, I wanted to give. Oh, no, I'm not quite done. Jackson Kirkland. We talked about Marquise Sampson, a really interesting recruit out of Madison, ends up at Western Oregon. John Bledsoe. So the great Drew Bledsoe's son John decides he's going to walk on and feels like he's got what it takes to go up against Connor Neville and other recruits. And I'm not going to bet against John Bledsoe. I don't think we've seen John Bledsoe's best football. Ryland, we've seen some brilliant moments out of John Bledsoe, and we've seen some moments where you go, shoot, I wonder why he threw that football. But he continues to grow. He continues to sort of work. And I wonder how that will work up there. I mean, obviously, we hope the best for him. Any thoughts about John Bledsoe taking the preferred walk-on and going up to battle it out up at the Palouse up there?
Well, I can tell you this much. It's not out of the question that he could win that, you know, job eventually down the line. Obviously, they have Luke Falk, who's there.